Psalm 82 is a rebuke of those who are in a position to bring justice to the oppressed and yet fail to do so. Let's look at Psalm 82. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. So right out of the gates, verse 1, we have this very challenging interpretive question. Who are these gods that are being referred to here? Two major interpretive positions in answer of this question. The first one is the traditional position, that these are actually human judges. They represent God in terms of bringing justice to people. They're in the position to be able to judge cases, legal cases, courtroom cases. And there's a real sense in which human judges are representing God. They're deciding the fates of people in significant cases. They're not God themselves, but they're representing and carrying out, in the best case scenario, they're carrying out the Lord's will in regard to justice. The second, I guess you could say, major interpretive position in regard to this question, who are these gods, is somewhat of a divine counsel, that there are smaller g gods that God himself created. They're divine beings who are maybe the highest level of angels, or a divine counsel is the phrase that's oftentimes used. This is a minority position in the church today, but it's a compelling case could be made for this position. I personally still hold to, and I've been challenged by this more recent, some recent scholarship suggesting this is a divine counsel, but I'm at this point unconvinced. I hold to the traditional position that these are human beings that are like gods in the sense that they are deciding people's fates in the courtroom. Now, whether you land position A or position B, the traditional position or the minority position, the main point of this psalm is going to be, as you're going to see as we continue to read through it, that those who are in a position to bring justice to the oppressed ought to do that. Let's continue, verse 2. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. Here we have clear commands that are given to those who are in a position to provide justice to the oppressed, to do just that. Defend the poor, because they're taken advantage of so often. Stand up for them. Defend the fatherless, because they too, the orphans, are often neglected in our society and in our world. So defend their case. Look out for them. There are evil people who take advantage of vulnerable people. It's been that way ever since the fall in Genesis chapter 3. In our world, there will always be evil people taking advantage of the disenfranchised. Until Christ returns, this is going to be the problem. We cannot educate our world out of evil. We cannot technologically advance our society out of evil. We cannot drug people to the point where they will not commit evil acts. This is the reality of living in a broken, sinful world. There will be people who will take advantage of the oppressed, of the poor, of the fatherless, of the needy. And in the best of human societies, we have a judicial system, we have a legal system, we have a police force that works to make sure that those who perpetuate evil against the oppressed are brought to justice. But unfortunately, evil is not just found in those who would perpetuate acts of violence or thievery against the oppressed, all manners of evil. But there's also evil in the judicial system. There are judges who are unjust judges, and they are the ones that are being rebuked in this psalm. Verse 5, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. When you have a society that doesn't have justice in place, it's like the foundations are shaken. How do you have a good, wholesome society when the foundations are shaken, when there's not justice in place. But ye shall die like men. All you unjust judges, you're going to die and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, verse 8 says, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Christ is going to come and return, and he will judge the unjust judges. Justice is coming. Now, application for us as believers today. You may not be a judge. Maybe you are. Most of us aren't judges sitting in a courtroom. But the main point of application, I believe, for all of us in this is that we would recognize if we're in a position to help the needy, to help the poor, to defend their cause, we should do it. So I would ask you, dear believer, what are you doing to help the poor? What are you doing to help the fatherless? What are you doing to help the oppressed, the fatherless, the impoverished? Let's be people of the light who represent our Lord's heart for those who are needy.